Hello and welcome to a tutorial video on the board meeting 8x10 located inside of the Ultimate Marketing Collection. What we're going to go through today is how this product works and how you change it to be your own. So I have brought up that file. As you see, this is what you will get when you open up your 8x10 file. And there are things on here that some people have not understood on how to change, so that's why we have a tutorial. So to start with, this template can be changed to your branding, meaning that you can change the colors by double-clicking right here. For example, if you want to change this background blue, double-click on this rectangle, and you can change this over to whatever color you want. Red, whatever. You can even make it black and white by coming over to the black, coming over to green, however you want to change that color. Okay, so for this tutorial, let's go ahead and just change it red. I'll bring that red down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so then you can remove this logo, replace it with your own, and for this tutorial I'm just going to leave it there. You can also change this text as well on the perfect photo day, and all of the text is editable on this page. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the fact that you just use your text tool, highlight, retype, and you can change what it says. You can move things around. You can also change the colors of these bars that come out, and these are also rectangles. Double click on this, change the color over to what color you want, whatever you want it to be. Okay, now the one thing that you need to understand about this backdrop are these mock-ups here. For example, this photo day mock-up here, the shirt, the tent, and the tent at the bottom. These are all mock-ups that were made that you need to replace. Okay, these are not templates that are embedded into this template. In fact, to be able to do that would be somewhat crazy and also make this template insanely large. And also, some of these are not possible to be able to do that. For example, the tent is not possible to be able to embed that template in there because of the way that this tent mockup is created. So we will be talking about how to make all of these mockups that are on here in this tutorial video. The first thing we're going to talk about is the shirt template here. For example, if you come over to the shirt template, you'll notice that it is just a flattened layer because this is a mockup. Now, there is mockup files in your downloads. If you have, this is something that we just added, so if you've already purchased this, you should have been sent an email on how to download the mockup templates. If not, you can always get a hold of me and I can get you these mockup files. So we're going to talk about the employee shirt mockup file first. So let's go ahead and open that mockup file. And you can use this mockup file for any shirt, not just the staff shirts. But this mockup file, you just remove the ones that were there, and you're left with your single shirt set. Okay, so the way we do this is you're going to go and make your shirt however you want to make it, and you're just going to drag in the finalized JPEGs. Again, I'm not really changing anything from what was on there, but just showing you how to use this mockup template. So these are going to be 2 JPEGs that I'm dragging in to create the mockup. And you'll see within this process why we could not implant this actual mockup into the background, because there are some things here that you can't, come in and change the colors once you actually get to the final mockup stage. So we've got our 2 mockup JPEGs in here. If you're on a higher version of Photoshop, these should come in as smart objects, and we need to remove those smart objects. So what we're going to do is come over here and highlight the 2 front and back, and right click and say rasterize layers. That's going to be the first step. The second step is going to be masking them into this layer here, the first shirt layer. To do that, what we can do is always right click on these and say create clipping mask, and that will do them right there into that as well. Now what we need to do is separate the 2 shirts from each other. So we're going to take the front shirt and drag it over to the front, and we're going to take the back shirt and drag it over to the back. Now the next step was going to be bringing in the texture of the shirts. Okay, As you see, it's very flat. You don't see the definition of the shirt. You don't see the collar up here. So what we do is select both of the shirts. We're going to come up to our blending mode, and we're going to select multiply. And now you see the shirt has dimension, the wrinkles, and all of that kind of thing. Now what we need to do is erase the blending over of the two files because they did overlap here. So we're going to take our eraser tool. We're going to select the front shirt and come over and erase what was overlaying on the back side. Come over and select the back shirt and erase what was overlaying on the front side. Now what we can do is save this as a PNG file, and that will be your digital mockup that you can use. If you are, which I would always suggest doing, so you always have that digital mockup. But if you're working directly to just go ahead and replace this file that's right here, go ahead and delete that file. If we're just replacing that file and we have both of them open at the same time, what we can do is a Control-Shift-E, which is going to merge all of those visible layers, not flatten. If you flatten, you're going to go down here and it's going to put a white background behind it. And we want to keep this with a translucent background. So now we can just drag and drop this over, and we can size this to fit right there. So that's how we do the shirt. Now let's talk about the tents. The tents are the more difficult ones, and to do the tent, I'll go ahead and shut the shirt off here. And to do the tents, what we're going to do is the same thing. Remember, you need to have all of your files made prior to making these mockups. Okay, so change, for example, the tent. We're going to go to the tent mockup here. And we're going to go ahead and do the one that's the angled one, because this is the most difficult of them to do the mockup of. Again, an actual picture of your tent would be better suited for this backdrop, but because we did not have these in yet, we made digital backdrops. So if you still want to make a digital backdrop, though, that's what these mockup files are for. For example, if you don't have your actual tent yet. So we open up this file. You can see all of the pieces are where they're supposed to be. And let's go ahead and just remove these pieces. Okay, so we're left with our tent now. And what we have is, if we look back on the other one, we had the cashier station banner at the front. So once you've created your cashier station file from your photo day setup, tent walls and banners section, we bring in that JPEG, drop it in, and all we need to do first is go ahead and just size this to fit between the two posts. Go ahead and bring it down to the bottom, and it will be right at the top of that pole. You can see the little notch in the pole there. So now what we're going to do is right click before applying. We have not applied yet. Right click and say skew, and now what we're going to do is pull down on this corner to the bottom and pull down on the top till it meets up with that same bar, and now it's at the correct angle, and we can go ahead and apply at that point. Okay, so that's how we do the front, and the side wall is pretty much the same. So whichever side wall that you're going to be putting on here for your product wall, we're going to bring that JPEG in. And before we place it, we're going to go ahead and size it down so that, again, it fits between the two. Don't worry about it being distorted, because that is what it's going to happen, is this is going to be a little distorted on the side to get that there. We're going to use the same methods. We're going to use skew, drag the bottom to the bottom of the tent down here. If you notice, we set the other one at the bottom over here. Go ahead and bring and grab the top, bring it up to the top of the tent here, and grab this one and bring it up to the top of that side of the tent over there. And then go ahead and apply that, and now you have your sidewall. But again, you need to create these items first. You're not going to be able to open this mockup and change the colors and change the text and all of the items over here beforehand. You have to do those and then bring them into the mockup files to create a mockup file. Okay, so the top of the tent. This is where it gets a little bit more difficult. The tent file that you have when you create your tents is a pretty much a one section file. So I'm going to bring that file in, just like we did, the final JPEG that we have rendered. Now this is, again, one of the reasons why we can't have this tent mockup editable inside of this template over here. Because, again, we're going to have to rasterize this image. So we're going to rasterize this layer, and then what we need to do is split it from the front of the tent to the actual top of the tent. So what we have to do is go ahead and grab our selection tool. Actually, I'm going to bring this down in size just a little bit. And bring our selection tool and go ahead and cut it off right about here. And you can either cut it and paste it, or you can just do on a PC Control-Shift-J, which actually cuts it and removes it, and now it's two different layers. So you can see I can turn off the top, turn off the front. So we'll start with the back of the tent, or the top of the tent. So now we have that top. We're going to bring it down to where the tent layer is, and we're going to, just like we did with the shirts before, create a clipping mask. So now it's clipped into the top of the tent. And at this point, if you have auto select on, I would suggest turning this off so that you can move this around. And what we're going to do is we're going to free transform it until it is the width of the tent, just like this. Okay. Now what we're going to do is, again, use the skew tool, and we're going to bring it down, bring it up. I'll zoom out here, and then we're going to bring this over to the angle of the tent. So we're kind of making the tent top here. At this point, we're going to right click and say free transform. So now we're no longer on the skew setting. Grab the top and bring it down, and you kind of have to massage this around a little bit. You're not going to get it exactly the right way every single time perfectly. So I am just really moving this around to fill it up and move it to the right angle. There's not an exact science to this. There's not, a real easy way to make this mock-up. Now, if someone ever comes out with an actual action to do this, I will let you know, but this is the manual way to do it. So at this point, we can apply it. And on the other side of the tent with this angle, it's really not enough of an angle to see the other logo on the other side. So what I typically do is on this, I just go ahead and grab my line tool, or not my line tool, but my selection tool, line selection tool, and then just paint bucket black in there. And now it's filled at the top. Now we're going to do the sides, which is the other file here that we had, the cashier station banner that goes at the top. And we're going to bring that down and mask that directly in, but bring it above the top part. So now we're going to bring that up, and you can see it sits here, and we're going to do the same thing again, fitting it just to the edges of the tent. And we will use what we used before, which is the skew option again. We'll skew this down, skew this up, skew it down to meet the middle, skew it up, and apply. And pretty much all we do is duplicate this over and do the same thing. Smash it down over here, right click and hit skew, skew it up. Again, you're just manipulating the file. This is why taking a picture of it once you've actually got it set up for this backdrop is really the way to go, unless you need to make a digital backdrop. So there we go. So now we have our cashier station. If we look over here at the cashier station, if we can zoom in, it looks exactly the same. So that's how you make the cashier station tent. Now the next one here we have is our photo day stations 1 and 2. Same system as the mock-up for this tent, just a little bit easier because you're no longer at that angle. The angles which make it really hard. So let's do that mock-up here. Go to our mock-up templates and select the photo station front side. And what we can do first is turn off all of the fun stuff that's in the front, all of the materials. Now if you want to change your backdrops, you can change your backdrops that are sitting in there. Those are just files that have been put in there and then edited. So we're talking about just the tent top here. So we can see our tent tops are down here. Same thing. We have 2 tents, top and top. And we're going to bring in those same files that we used before once we've changed them again. So let's go over and find those. And we have our photo station 1. So we'll bring in that JPEG first. And that will be this tent over here on the left. So just like we did before, what we're going to do is we need to rasterize that image first if it came in as a smart object so that we can cut it. And we're going to cut it again just like we did on the last tent, right there above the line. So Control-Shift-J, and let's go ahead and select both of these and mask them into the tent. So now we're on this tent here. You can, on this one, grab them all together and bring them over and make them the width of the tent. Go ahead and apply that, and now we'll work on just the photo station because it's a little bit too large. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of bring this down a little bit. Go ahead and apply that. Now we're going to grab the top one, bring it down, and you can see it's not at an angle right now. So we're going to go ahead and grab it, and we're going to say perspective. Grab the top corner, go ahead and make a perspective of the tent. Right click and say free transform, and go ahead and bring it down. And right click and say skew, and go ahead and bring this over so it fills it up. And again, we're just playing with the free transform, the skew, until we get it exactly the way we want it. So there we go. Now we can, if the 2 tent tops are going to be exactly the same, go ahead and just copy that other tent top, bring it down, mask it into the next tent, and just drag it over, and it's duplicated. Photo Station 2, very simply, we can just bring in Photo Station 2 at this point. Go ahead and rasterize that layer. And cut off the top. In this case, because we already have the top on the other side, we can just delete it and mask it into that layer, and then just resize it and match it up with the other side. And now we can turn back on all of our other layers and save this out as a JPEG, or again, we can do the Control-Shift-E. And if we were replacing this one with our new mockup, we just delete it off of the banner or the background, bring the new one over, and size it accordingly to how you want it on your backdrop. All right, so the big one here is really just the cashier station You also have a front cashier station angle as well as this template, which works exactly the same as the other one. So I'm not going to really do a demo on that one because it uses the same effects. But the only things left is the flag. Now you'll have this mock-up here in your file that you can create, and it'll have all of this stuff that you can do. And these are just pieces that you'll pop in. Okay, so let's do a flag next, because that's the only one left that you need to do a mock-up of, is the flag. So we will now do the flag. Go to our mock-ups. And let's open the flag mock-up. All right, so you can see that in the flag mock-up, we have them all in there, but we're going to do the same thing. We're going to, once we've edited our flag and made it our own, we're going to go into grab the JPEG that we saved out. Doesn't matter which flag you use, and drag and drop it into this mock-up template. Flag is the easiest one to do. Go ahead and apply it. Go ahead and rasterize the image. Same as the shirts, we're going to say multiply, and then we're going to create a clipping mask, and now it's in the flag. All we have to do at this point is do a free transform, holding down the shift key to keep everything in proportion, and just size it down until it fits. And there you go. So at this point we can save that as a JPEG. So now once we've done all of our mockup files, we can open up the mockup for this setup scene here. Okay, so once we've opened this file up, you can see that all of these items can be removed. So we're going to go ahead and remove the cashier station. We'll go ahead and remove the flag, 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 station. These are all things we just created. And these are just the 20 by 30 banners, so we'll go ahead and remove those. And now we're left with this. Okay, so this is really what you're just going to build that image around. All right, so I'm going to turn those back on and show you how to create this setup. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is the cashier station. And I'm going to actually put the angled one that we just made in here. So I'm just going to grab it off of this one. Go ahead and size that down because it will be bigger. And there's our cashier station mockup. Now for our flag, all of the flags are going to work the same way. Say this is our flag that we made. Let's see, which one was it? The cashier flag. So go ahead and remove the cashier flag. And size it down to however big you want it to be. Say, for example, you wanted it right there, and then you can put the cashier flag there. So you would do that with all the other flags as well. Now this mockup back here, we'll go ahead and select that mockup. And if we were working on this, we had our new mockup that we had here. We'll go ahead and grab that mockup, bring it over to that area, and size it, and free transform, and stick it back there. There we go. These 20-foot wide banners here, you do the same thing, delete it, drag in your completed file, for the 2x20 banner, and size it down. and set it there. So once we've replaced everything at this point, what we can do is, again, we can flatten this image down if we want. Grab this top section, copy it, come over to our banner, our backdrop, I mean. Delete that picture and paste our new one in. So that's how we change everything on the 8x10 backdrop. And really this is the same thing that you would do on any of the products or any of the items in here that are flattened because they're mock-up images. But this one has the most mock-up images on it. But again, these were place setters. These are a spot for you to take a picture of your actual photo day setup once you have it made and put it here. Or if you need to do a digital mock-up, this is how you would do it. Same thing with your shirts, your tent setup like that. So hopefully this helped you. If you have any questions, please let me know. But hopefully that answered your questions on how to make a mock-up of a tent, a flag, and a shirt for any of the products that are in the Ultimate Marketing Collection. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day.